Hi, good morning everybody. Thank you for joining the Capita IB Solutions Making Tax Digital with Integra webinar. Just to give you a chance, the objectives of today is to explain why this module has been developed, provide an overview of the software, the benefits it will bring you, and to advise you of the delivery schedule. My name is Chris Smith, Head of Client Services, and I will be doing the introduction and then handing over to Andrew Redstone, the product owner, who will be providing a demonstration of Integra Making Tax Digital. There will be opportunity for questions towards the end of the webinar if you enter them via the Q&A box. Before we start, please ensure that you're all on mute so that you can hear what we say. Right. So just briefly, just an overview of what Making Tax Digital means. It affects all organisations that are VAT registered with businesses over the 85,000 threshold. Initially, HMRC announced that VAT returns would be mandated from April 2019. However, this was deferred to October for public sectors and more complicated businesses. However, income tax is still mandated. It's scheduled for April 2020. The biggest change, however, is that all records must now be held digitally. And you must use dedicated software that is compatible with HMRC, i.e. your transmissions must meet the digital requirements of the HMRC website. So those of you that are using convoluted spreadsheets at the moment, they must have a way of transmitting to this website. The big thing is HMRC will not be providing this software. Therefore, a number of commercial developers have been piloting their platforms with HMRC. Capita have also started their developments. For those of you that attended the user groups at the end of last year, would have seen our first demonstration of this software. Following discussions with clients at the user group and from local government and other user groups, we have spoken on a one-to-one basis, and our development team have been working with the tax officers to see how the returns. And what we have found is that it's more complicated than we initially thought on our first bit of software. Therefore, what you'll be seeing today is a hybrid of the new solution. So it's taking on board everything we've worked for. So Andrew will be showing you that a bit later on. So, for Integra users, you will have two ways of submitting your digital tax returns to HMRC. One way is via Excel, so you can take all your data out of Integra, all your other areas, bring it all together on these long and convoluted spreadsheets, and use a third-party tool to transmit it digitally to HMR Revenues and Customs. The other alternative, which we're going to show you today, which we believe is much simpler, brings all the information in one place and allows you to transmit it by one, is by using the integrated Integra Making Tax Digital module. Andrew will be showing you that in a lot more detail in a while. You'll see the screens that are on there. So, very high-level overview of how we've designed this software to work. So mine is very high-level. You'll see in a minute, Andrew will be going through this on line by line and showing the actual software that will be going out to our pilot sites next week. So, you will be using Integra, will electronically queries the status of the returns with HMRC. So if you dial out to HMRC and receive a response back, This defines the period of the return that you'll be working from. Then using the configuration rules set within the package, now Andrew will be showing you that as well, MTD calculates the return for the period. So you'll see on the slide there, it's broken down what we're at the moment calling box 1, 2 and 3. They're different feeds into your tax return. So you can bring them all together from Integra and from third-party sources. You can put rules in there that makes calculations. Integra then calculates what the tax return would do, and once it has been approved, it submits that return to HMRC. HMRC then do the validation, does its calculation, and then transmits back that that VAT return has been accepted and approved. Now, the main thing in that centre box, all that work is done in one place and within Integra. So replacing any spreadsheets that you use outside of the system. What Andrew will show you as well, the fact is you can look at that data, you can calculate it, and you can drill down into the inquiries. Now, what I'd like to see, this is obviously what you've all come to see today, as opposed to my introduction, is Andrew's actually going to go in and demonstrate the software that has been developed. So I'd like now to pass across to Andrew Redstone.
When you come to using the Making Tax Digital system, which is MTD, there will be a stage where you will need to get connected to the HMRC's Making Tax Digital platform. You'll need to get credentials and set them up within the system so that it can actually, the Making Tax Digital system can actually talk to HMRC. Once you've done that, the majority of the work that you'll do to do with returns will be done from the MTD 300 screen. On this screen, you can pick your financial year and you can see your returns for that financial year. The system will support both monthly or quarterly returns. In this system, I've got quarterly returns, so I've got the first 2 quarters, and I'm expecting HMRC to tell me that I need to fill in a return for the 3rd quarter. But if you happen to be monthly, then you get 12 monthly breakdowns in here, and each return will carry on for each month. So I'm going to take a quick look at the last quarter return that I filled in. So I'm going to click on View. On the left, you'll see the VAT return, pretty much as you probably recognise, which is the standard VAT return that you have to send HMRC now, with each of the boxes 1, 2, 3 through to 9. Boxes 1, 2, 4, 6, 7 and 8, 9, these are the ones that you have to calculate and fill in. And then boxes 3 and 5, the system will automatically calculate for you based on the figures in the other boxes. But behind each box, we have the ability to create multiple entries, and this is where it's pretty important. So our original version of this software would just say, take box 1 and go off and get the figures from the sales ledger. But what we realised when we talked to a few clients, that the way people are calculating their VAT returns is an awfully lot more complicated. So some clients have got quite complex spreadsheets with all sorts of formulas, getting data from all sorts of different places and different rules, etc. So what we've done is we've modified the system to allow you to build these rules. So in this example, I've got the VAT due on sales. I've got the sales ledger VAT analysis coming in at 431. I've got VAT on car parking, and as you can see, this is a demo environment, and I've got £408,000 worth of car parking VAT, and I've got a manual entry here for VAT on vending machines. If I go to the purchase ledger, the VAT reclaimed for the current period from the purchase ledger, you can see I've got the figure there. So you can drill into these figures, so you can go into that figure and you will see all the transactions that make up that figure. At this point, say for example, if you were doing a demo, you can use this grid to find the transaction that you know you have an image behind. So here we are getting down to the scanned image of the invoice that came in from Dudley with amount of £33 VAT on it that we have reclaimed, which is making the figure of the 187. So we can do the same thing on the sales ledger side of things. So if we go to the sales ledger VAT analysis, I can drill into that figure, I can see all the transactions, I can search for 7515, and then I can see this value £22, and I can see this in the image of the invoice that we emailed out to that customer, £22 VAT that we have taken that we need to obviously pay back to the HMRC. So the general ledger one is interesting because on that one, what we're saying is it's more complicated than that, and there's all sorts of horrible rules like general ledger codes, ranges that we need to select, and it can be source codes, it can be journal types, it can even be descriptions to get those. And then it is also possible to put in formulas. So on the total VAT sales here, as well as getting the sales amount, we've actually extrapolated the car park charges using a formula, which is basically box entry E12, which is the one that we calculate from the general ledger, divided by 20 times by 100. It shows you how that evaluates out, and you can see the figure that you've actually got on the screen there. So, the rules, there are 6 types of rules that you can put in place. There are purchase ledger VAT analysis, so we'll go and get the details from you. You can put restrictions on that, so you can pick out specific VAT codes. There are certain cases where we see clients are doing that. The sales ledger analysis, same thing, you can put in extra restrictions on that. And then the cash management, obviously you can get VAT analysis from the cash management system. However, that was our original cut of this. It was just those ledger transactions for the VAT analysis, but we've added onto that the GL transactions where you can put restrictions on the general ledger transactions that you're actually going to get, and you can restrict by GL code, etc. We've also added the manual entry where you can just key in a value because you've just got another system and there is just no other way of getting that piece of information. You want to keep that to a minimum because obviously that means there's manual entry and there's room for error, but to start off with you might not be able to. But maybe once you've got this working and you see how it works, you can work out what you can do in, say, the general ledger to allow you to create a rule that does it automatically, and so therefore you don't have to do that. And then finally we've got formulas, so for occasions where you have to sort of take one figure and times it by another and divide it by the number you first thought of, you can put formulas in there to do that kind of stuff. So that's mainly the view of an existing VAT return that's gone in. So I come back here and I click this button here, which is Request VAT Return Details from HMRC. At this point, it will give us a from and a to date. So the way the VAT system works, the HMRC system works, is when you do the request, you do it for a period of time. Behind the scenes, it will be including your credentials. And when I do that request, it will update the status of any of the VAT returns you have in the system. So if one had been submitted, it would come back as being fulfilled, etc. But if there's a new VAT return to be entered, it will bring that back. So when I click this button to submit the request, I'll get a message back saying that one VAT return has been recreated. So this has created this new VAT return, which is currently open, and if I go into it, you can see that all the figures are actually there, and they're all dynamically being calculated as the VAT return is created, using the rules that are in place. So, with the exception of the manual entry, this VAT return is done. We don't really need to do anything else to it, but we do need to enter this manual entry. So the manual entry is the VAT on the vending machines, and if I edit that, when I set the rule up, I put a little bit of a message in there to tell you how you have to go about getting this manual entry. And you need to get the spreadsheet, the vendor spreadsheet from Bob. So if I go into my folders here, I've got Bob's folder there, and he's got his vendor spreadsheet. And if I go in there, I can see, oh yes, the figure's 17447. So I will type that in, 17447. And when I hit save, because it's a mandatory to add the attachments, it will force me to add an attachment. So I think I can go back to here and I can put that onto there and save that and pop that in there. So we've backed up that figure of 17447 with the spreadsheet that backs up the figure, and we save that. So once we've done that, we've got all the figures in. Again, all the sales ledger analysis figures there again, they're all there. We can see them, we can check everything. We're happy with it, we're happy with the figures. And finally, we just click on Submit to HMRC. At this point, you have to tick this box, and where you are accepting that it's a legal declaration that the information is true and complete. A false declaration can result in prosecution. That is mandated by the HMRC. We have to put that on our software. We submit return, and this return is now updated to be submitted. All the figures have been calculated, you've got all the auditing behind the system, and jobs are good. And if you now go back into this VAT return, you won't be able to change anything. It's basically just locked down at this point. So I think that's me.
Right, thank you very much. We're just going to pass the presentation back to me. So thank you very much for that, Andrew. I hope you all found that interesting. So just it's a very high-level sort of review of what we've seen with Andrew. So you've seen that you do the return for a period, and it's in with the, we've called it boxes for the different boxes that the input from different systems, from the Integra systems. You can see each box is configurable to the tables where it picks the information up from, whether it's directly from one of the Integra ledgers or external input. So you can make the different box entries, which completes a total. And you can see from that total, you can drill down to the transactions that make up that, whether it be a transaction from Integra, either it's an invoice or you know, that we've sent out or received in, and or a spreadsheet that's also come in from an external, or your calculation. And you can drill right down to the transaction itself and to any attachments that are with it. That's how you compile it. So we've seen that Integra Making Tax Digital, it exchanges data with HMRC. It's approved, it knows how to, the formula for exchanging the data, both for receiving it when we start our claim and to the end when we submit it as well. It's all configured in one place within Integra. So not just Integra tax it holds, but if you want any calculations or any information outside, it's all held and brought into one place, and that is Integra. You can see the details, all calculations, they're all held there per return. So all the inquiries there is fully auditable. So Andrew showed you that you can calculate, and he's also shown you that you can drill down to individual invoices, transactions, spreadsheets that make up that return. And importantly, it transmits to HMRC digitally on a fully integrated platform. So Integra is fully integrated and can talk directly to HMRC. So that's just an overview of what Andrew's just shown you in a lot more detail. So where are we with the timeline on this? So what you've actually seen, Andrew has been showing you the software that's been developed. So we have had that recognised by HMRC. The next major step is beginning next week, we have some selected clients that have already been working with us to help us develop everything. As Andrew pointed out, we've redeveloped it following the user group and interaction there. So the software that you've seen Andrew demonstrating today goes out to a few sites next week, and they will be looking to compare it with their own tax return. They're going to put it in test, compare figures, and also to ensure that we've covered every possibility in there. So that starts next week with that software that you've seen. Now, when we work that all through, we're working on a target, the 4th of March, to have this fully available for installation. That means any feedback that we get from the clients next week, we're going to work with that, enhance the product if needed, add extra bits in. Andrew mentioned we may add in this approval level before we submit it. So that gives us fully available 4th of March. That will meet the private businesses with yourselves that need it for the 1st of April, and will be easily tested and available for those of you who are looking at October. Just a reminder that you need to request your credentials for HMRC, but when you purchase the software and the consultancy with you, you'll be provided assistance to get that information. So you still need credentials to enable you to submit it outside of Integra. So finally,
why would you choose Integra Making Tax Digital? Why are we recommending it to you? The first and foremost, and probably the highest, it's recognised by HMRC. You've got a system that interacts and is recognised and accepted. It's the way forward. It's integrated with Integra. The benefits that gives you integrating with Integra, well, it retrieves data directly from your finance system. So there's no going out and bringing it into a spreadsheet or bringing it in from another area and having about 15 worksheets that bring it together. It dates it directly from your finance system. It's developed to work with Integra 2 and Centros. It has all the benefits of the Integra framework: security, alerts, workflows. It has a single look and feel of Integra, so all your users that use Integra now, you can give them access to the screen and the navigation will be familiar to them. So even if you're just preparing it for inquiries. The tables are created within the Integra schema. This means that you can use all the tools that you're already familiar with: XQuery, Crystal, eForms, all the stuff that you already have and use. And because it's integrated with Integra, it allows you to drill down to transactions at the lowest level. We've seen that it's configurable, so you can put your rules in. You can bring in external files, so it's all configurable in one area. You configure the rules once. If they're the same rules for the next return, they don't have to be redone. They're obvious and open and transparent from there. It saves time because you don't have to repeat these entries. It saves time, and that saves the errors by reducing manual intervention and repetitive tasks. Completely audited. Everything that Andrew showed you on there are written to audit tables and individual tables within the schema. So you can use all the tools, the Integra tools you're already familiar with, to interrogate these tables. And finally, it's a fully supported solution. That means that we will continue to develop it. We've taken everything on board up till now, but as all of you know, demands change, and we'll find one thing that one business doesn't do. It's fully supported. The maintenance will go forward to continue to develop this. And all future developments. So the next major steps with the introduction of Integra Centros and AIs and everything that comes with Centros will enable us to take this to the next step as well over the next coming years. So this has been written, as I say, again, it works with Integra 2, but for Centros, it will be able to develop further and take on a lot more activity and future-proof it. So thank you for taking the time out in your valuable days. So all questions submitted via the boxes that we haven't answered will be passed to your account director. If you have any further questions about MTD with Integra, then please contact your account director directly. We'll follow up email with today's presentation and also make this available on the website and download it. So thank you very much again for your time, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.